Woo! The Bulls are back, baby. We are back. After years of things not going the Bulls' way, botched trades, meh draft selections, disappointing season after disappointing season, in just a matter of a month, we get the firing of A.K.A. Mark Eversley, the Blazers making the playoffs, that pick that they owed to us finally conveyed at number 15. They hire a new lead executive in Bryson Graham, and now the biggest one of them all, the Bulls, who had a pre-draft lottery position at number 9, move up into the top 4. They didn't get the number 1 pick, which of course is what we were all hoping for, but the number 4 pick in an absolutely stacked draft class, a draft class that most would argue rivals that of the 1996-2003 draft, the top 4 specifically being in a class of their own. Boy, what a feeling. I'm sure some of you saw my reaction on the live stream yesterday. I also shared the exact moment the Bulls moved up into the top 4 in a separate video, and yeah, man, I lost it. I didn't even realize just how intense I got, what my reaction was, until after someone replayed it back to me. I scared my girls who were outside playing. I'm sure some of my neighbors heard it as well. But look, man, this was years of pent-up frustration, years of disappointment, a lot of garbage that we've had to put up with. And yeah, I think all that emotion just poured out of me when I saw the Dallas Mavericks logo come up with the number 9 pick. We needed this. We deserve this as Bulls fans. And what an insane turnaround in the outlook for this team from where it was just a couple months ago after the deadline, where they were on that 11-game losing streak, to now sitting with the 4th and 15th pick in this year's draft. Now look, this doesn't mean anything until we actually see the results come to fruition and whether the Bulls actually hit on these picks, but the Bulls moving up into the top 4. On top of all of the cap space they have at their disposal, still having bright young players on their roster, but getting the number 4 pick is a franchise-altering moment that they wouldn't have otherwise had with the number 9 pick, and I'll explain why in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, as I mentioned, it's pretty much consensus across all scouts, analysts, coaches that this is one of the deepest classes in decades, and that there are great players to be had all over the draft, including late into the first round and even into the second round. At the same time, though, it's also become consensus that the top 4 picks are in a class of their own. Those 4 players being AJ Dembinsa, Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, Carlos Boozer's son, and Caleb Wilson. Now, the order in which these 4 will go in the draft is still uncertain, although I think most now believe Dembinsa is going to be the number 1 pick based on everything I've seen from these 4 players, watching their highlight tapes, watching them in the tournament. Dembinsa, in my opinion, is clearly the best player with the most upside. Just an insane athlete that is strong on both sides of the ball, versatile scorer, high IQ player. He just has it all. So for me personally, I don't think there's any shot that Dembinsa falls all the way to number 4. None whatsoever. I would be shocked if he doesn't go number 1. At the same time, though, I also think number 4 is all but locked at this point. And I said this on Twitter, and there's no doubt in my mind that the Bulls are going to be getting Caleb Wilson. I think it's a toss-up between who goes 2 and who goes 3 between Peterson and Boozer, but I firmly believe Wilson is going to be available when the Bulls are on the clock, and there's no way they would pass up on him for a guy like a Cuff or Flemings. They're taking Wilson, who fits exactly what they need. Fits the slot profile of players Graham values, a 6'10 big that can play the 4 or 5. To me, he looks like the most gifted athlete in this class. High flyer, rim running lob threat big that the Bulls so desperately needed. He's excellent finishing around the rim, great on the offensive glass for second chance points, solid rim protection on the other end of the floor, switchable on defense as well, and above all, he brings energy. Bulls need a big time energizer, high motor guy, a guy who can get your teammates hyped. Of course, like every prospect coming into the league, there are downsides as well. Things he's going to need to work on. And the biggest downside for Wilson is that he's not a shooter. He's decent in the mid-range, which thank God Billy Donovan is no longer coaching this team, but he's a 2-level scorer with his primary strength being around the basket and in the post. He doesn't take that many threes, only took 27 of them his whole freshman season and only shot it at a 25% clip. And he did have surgery to his thumb, which shut his season down early, which you hope that isn't going to impact his game going forward, or that injuries aren't going to be a common thing for him. But I feel like if the Bulls can somehow unlock that part of his game, look out, because he has all the other tools to be a star in this league as one of the better two-way players in the game. And if you add a 3-point shot to Caleb Wilson's game, That's huge. Man averaged near 20 points per game, 9.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.4 blocks, and 1.5 steals. Only 19 years old. This would be a player that has the most upside potential than any other Bulls pick since Derrick Rose. And that's not an exaggeration. Jimmy Butler was not seen as a heavily touted high upside prospect coming into the league. It's why he went 30th in the draft. So yes, I would love to have Caleb Wilson on my team. I think he would be an incredible fit. That said, if somehow the Grizzlies, who have the 3rd pick, feel they're going after their Jaren Jackson Jr. replacement, which Caleb Wilson has been compared to Jaren Jackson Jr., but a jet-packed Jaren Jackson Jr., given his explosiveness and leaping ability. If they take Wilson at 3, my hope is that Peterson has already been taken number 2 by the Jazz. I am extremely wary of Darren Peterson. Like, yes, a ton of upside. I recognize that he has a ton of potential to be a franchise player, but he's the only one of these top 4 that I'm a bit skeptical about. Obviously, one of the biggest prospects in this class, the number 2 prospect in high school, only behind Debansa. There were a handful of mock boards who had marked him up as the number 1 pick for a period of time. He's by far and away the most talented shot maker of this class. He can score at all 3 levels, great floor spacer, great speed and slashing ability to the basket. The talent is clearly there, but I'm hesitant when it comes to his work ethic, the injury concerns, and that in and out again freshman season, the leg cramping that would take him out of games. I just feel like this could be one of those big bust potential scenarios, or like a Ben Simmons situation where you have, one of the most talented prospects to just not really live up to what people expected and didn't put in the work to truly perfecting their craft. The other thing too, his defense is okay, whereas the other 3 guys we're talking about here in the top 4, they're all very strong defenders, which is something I value so greatly, something this team so desperately needs to have strong, physical, competent defenders. It's why I'm not as high on Peterson among these 4 guys. Obviously, if he slips and he's available at number 4 and the other 3 guys go before him, yeah, you have to take him. You're not passing on him for a guy like a Cuff or Wagler. And if that ends up happening, the Bulls take Peterson, I hope I'm wrong about him and he ends up becoming the best player in this class. Now, hopefully it won't end up getting to that point, because you'd have to think the Jazz, with already having Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., Walker Kessler, if they re-sign him, aren't going to be looking for guys in the front court, and they're going to jump on a lethal scoring guard instead. But we'll see. As the days get closer to the draft, we'll hear more and more rumors about what teams are thinking and if anything changes in that regard. Cam Boozer, though, I am 100% on board with, and there is a world where he could fall to number 4 if, like I mentioned, the Grizzlies look for their Jaren Jackson Jr. replacement and then say Peterson goes 2, then that leaves Boozer there for the taking for the Bulls. Boozer, for a while, was considered to be the number 1 pick for this draft 2 years ago. Everyone was saying it was going to be Cooper Flagg in 2025, Cam Boozer in 2026. This is a guy who hasn't even turned 19 yet, and arguably has the highest IQ and best feel for the game among these top 4 prospects. 6'9", 250 pounds, post moves, finishing around the hoop, great court vision, physical player that uses his size to crash the boards, but he's mobile, fluid with his size and ability to get out on the perimeter, knock down threes, playing off the ball as a catch and shoot shooter, but can also pump fake at the top and use his speed to get to the basket quickly and throw it down for a dunk. High level rebounder, just like his dad, just has a knack for knowing where he needs to be and snagging boards and boxing out his man. While he's not lightning quick on defense, he's great with his on-ball D and staying in front of his man with his lateral quickness and size and strength to prevent his man from getting close to the basket. Averaging 22 and 10 in college in a 40-minute game with a true shooting percentage of 66% is elite level efficiency. So yes, if Boozer is there on the board, I will gladly take him with that pick. I just think it's more likely that he goes in the top 3. Now, there have been some early reports that the Wizards are potentially looking to trade down in the draft, trading their number 1 pick, because of course they just traded for 2 former All-Stars and Trae Young and Anthony Davis. I think it would be absolutely insane if they traded that pick, unless it means they moved down to number 2 or something and got a future first in exchange for that. That would be diabolical otherwise, if they just moved up in the draft to say get the number 9 pick when you already have the number 1 pick in a historic draft. That said, when I first saw that report, I instantly thought, go get him, Bryson. Get on the phone, see what they're willing to take. Like, would they do the number 4 and number 15 pick for the number 1 pick? I'm not sure that would really be to the Bulls' advantage, because you have to think the gap between 1 and 4 probably isn't that much that you should give up your 15th pick. and have 2 bites at the apple instead, but it's certainly intriguing. Do you maybe look to include Asenge in the number 15 pick to try to get up to number 1? I don't think that gets it done, but I don't know. All I know is it sounds like there is going to be potentially some maneuvering of these picks between now and the draft. I mean, do the Warriors try and trade their lottery pick for one last hurrah with Steph Curry? The Thunder, God knows they don't need another lottery pick. Maybe they look to move that pick and the Bulls can somehow move up from 15 a bit if they can package that with another asset like the 38th pick or Trey Jones, if either the Warriors or Thunder have an interest in Trey as a backup guard off the bench. If it means they can get him and the 15th pick, Trey Jones in the 15th pick, while the Bulls move up to 11th or 12th. I don't know. There are just so many possibilities, a lot of possibilities that I'll talk about in future videos as some of this information and what teams are thinking about become more and more clear heading into the draft combine. All I can say is it's about time. It's about time things are finally starting to look a little up again for the Chicago Bulls and maybe bring this franchise back to relevancy. So anyway, let me know what you guys thought about everything. Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.